Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Clutch Talk podcast /YouTube/ We Do It All. As always, I'm your host, John. Very happy to be here. My boy Jay Hiz over there in the six. How you doing, my dog?
Doing great because we got a Clutch Talk guest legend on today. Lance Make 'em Dance Caporossi in the building tonight. Today, Lance, say what up to the fans. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great. Appreciate the intro. You got my last name right. I love that. Yeah, man, I'm doing good. I'm a little salty about the Pistons, but growing pains for a young team. And yeah, that's all I got to say. But I'm glad to be back on the show. I appreciate you calling me a legend as well. That's pretty cool. Never been called that before. So yeah, I'm excited.
Well, you are definitely a legend over here, Lance. We're very happy to have you, just like how Jay said, man. But for the fans, for those of you guys that are new, you guys that recently subscribed, Lance has been a long time guest here. Lance actually has his own podcast at the Everything Pistons podcast, man. So I'll link all of Lance's work down below in the description. So make sure you guys go check that out, man. But if all that's out the way, you guys ready to get into some hoop talk?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Let's do it, man, because today we got an action-packed episode, man. So let's go ahead and start with a new segment here, a brand new segment introducing for the first time here. It's called Fill in the Blank, man. So this is how Fill in the Blank works, guys. I'm just going to read off a statement here, and then you and Jay Hill, you guys each, fill in the blank and finish the statement, and then we can talk about it a little bit. We can debate it a little bit. If not, we'll move to the next statement. You guys cool with that?
Absolutely.
Get it.
Let's do it, man. All right, guys. So the first statement here is, Lance, since you are the guest, we want you to go ahead and kick it off. The first statement here is, the best role player in the league is?
Ooh, that is tough. So I got two. The best role player in the league. So I'm a little biased. I love Jordan Poole for the Warriors. I think he's in the perfect role for himself, like coming off the bench, being a scoring machine. Like, I love seeing Jordan Poole in that role. I love Montrezl Harrell for the Washington Wizards. And I'll even throw in Jordan Clarkson for the Jazz. I think those guys are in the perfect roles right now for their careers. Like, they're playing really well. So those roles for them and where they're at, the responsibilities given to them, makes a lot of sense. And they've been playing pretty well this year.
Okay, Jay, what about you? Who's the best role player in the league?
I want to say Jordan Poole, but I mean, Lance took it right out of my hand. But I'm going to go with kind of maybe a shocker, but I'm going to go with Ricky Rubio. I think he's been playing he's been a great, great veteran piece for the surging and soaring Cavs right now. Just helping their backcourt, doing what he does, like playmaking wise, defensively. And I just feel like he's been an anchor and a go-to guy that they can rely on to do what he does, like off the bench. And if he needs a spot start, he's right in the lineup as well. So Ricky Rubio's been killing it and kind of having a career revival, or like one of the best seasons of his career. So yeah, definitely Ricky Rubio for me.
Absolutely, man. That's a surprising answer, but that's a great answer, Jay. Ricky Rubio really has been stepping up and doing that role player role, man. When you're needed, you step up, and when you're not needed, you're able to take that back seat, man. But I'm going to go with a different player. I'm glad we all kind of got different players here. I'm going to go with Mikal Bridges, man. I mean, Jay knows I talk about Mikal all the time as really being a key vital role player to that Suns team. Can score when he needs to score, understands when to take the back seat, but also does it on the defensive end, can really bring it on the defensive end and help them with his length and just guard really. I wouldn't say 1 through 5, but I would say 1 through 3 very confidently that Mikal can guard, man. So I think that's a great role player in the league, man. But all right, so if there's nothing else to add to that one, we can move to the next statement that we got here, man. And that is, all right, guys. So the numbers are growing, okay? So the numbers continue to grow. But as of yesterday, which was Saturday, December 18th, 80 out of the 86 players who have entered the health and safety protocols, 70 have happened this month. 70 happened this month. Me and Jay talked about this on the last episode. We talked about it real quick. What are the chances of a bubble? So here we are again. Jay and Lance, the chances of a bubble happening this year are?
I'm going to say there's not a good chance for a bubble. I think if anything, the NBA will amend their safety protocol rules, where I think they're talking about it now too, where if you tested positive, but you're asymptomatic, you only have to have one negative test and then you'll be able to play again. I think they'll head more in that route. I mean, these guys are healthy individuals, you know. I mean, we haven't heard of any too extreme cases coming from NBA players. So I just think instead of a bubble, the NBA will reevaluate how they're monitoring all of this going forward. I think that's more. I mean, a bubble would be kind of cool to see. I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed it last time, but I don't know if there's going to be a bubble. I don't think there'll be a bubble this year. I just think the NBA will reevaluate how they test players and what the rules are going forward with positive cases.
Yeah, I'm right there with Lance, like 10, 20%. I think it's low. I think, you know, they saw what it did last time and it was good, I guess, successful. But I mean, being away from your family and away from like what you know was tough on a lot of players, and they spoke about it. So I think they're going to try at all costs to avoid the bubble this year. So I think it's just pretty low. Yeah, like I said, 10%, 20%, and everything that Lance said on that one, on that front.
Yeah, man. You know, I really don't want there to be a bubble just because of, you know, the fans make the game so much more exciting. The fans bring a whole different aspect to the game. And I mean, we can also go, we could purchase a ticket and go. So, you know, so that's cool. But the only thing that I think that the NBA is taking into account, and Jay, you brought this up on the last episode, was that money, baby, because, you know, money rules the world, man, and money talks. And the NBA don't want to go 2 seasons with losing all of that ticket revenue, food revenue, and all of that, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and side with you guys on the chances of the bubble happening again is low, man. But all right, so let's keep it pushing, man, and let's talk about the next fill in the blank here, and that is the Pacers' most valuable trade asset is.
Oh, Sabonis.
Yeah.
Easily,
yeah.
man. I think it's I think it's Sabonis,
yeah,
man. He can do a little bit of everything. He can be a centerpiece on offense. He's not great defensively, but what he does offensively outweighs all of that. I mean, Miles Turner, he's a nice piece, but he doesn't move the needle in the win column quite like a Sabonis does. So I'll say Sabonis is the most valuable trade piece.
Yeah, Sabonis, and I'm thinking of it the Warrior from the I'm thinking of it from the Warriors perspective. Like, you give up Kuminga and maybe Wiseman for a guy like Sabonis, and maybe move that championship lead closer. Like that, I already think they're a favorite, you know, or they have a really good chance to contend for a title without him. But you add him to the equation, I think you really got to think. But anyways, no, Sabonis is definitely the best player out of that bunch and asset. To answer your question.
I will say, though, Miles Turner, though, is very underrated by a lot of fans. Like, I don't know. I appreciate his game and what he brings to a basketball team. I don't know if a lot of fans do. He's still pretty young, I believe. I think he's only around like 25 years old, and he can shoot the three. He can protect the paint. Like, he can do a lot for a basketball team. And I just think a lot of people are underrating his value to a new team.
Absolutely, man, and it's definitely interesting to hear your guys' take on this, because I know when we did our roundtable episode, you know, with Oku and Junior, again, you know, blind shout out, blind plug. Go check out that last episode. When we did that episode, you know, Oku said Miles Turner is a real plug and play player, because I mean, any team can take a big man that is going to bring about like 3 to 4 blocks a game, you know. So that's huge. But I definitely understand what you guys are saying about Sabonis. But I'm actually not going with Sabonis nor Miles Turner. I'm going with Malcolm Brogdon, actually, man. And the reason why I'm going to go with Malcolm Brogdon is because I think he's a smart, savvy, veteran point guard in this league. And a lot of teams need that. A lot of championship teams need a point guard to be able to run the team, to be able to set up the offense, or even be able to go get a bucket on your own. And I think that Malcolm Brogdon can do all that, play some defense, and be a smart team leader, man. So I think Malcolm Brogdon could draw a lot of attention from these teams that are missing, you know, a potential key starting guard, or even a off the bench guard. Like, can you imagine a Malcolm Brogdon on the Nets instead of a Patty Mills? I mean, that team just becomes all instrumentally better right there, man. So, all right.
Okay, what do you think? Just for both of you, question, like, who do you think out of their pieces that they got to trade, who do you think's gone first out of LeVert, Miles Turner, Brogdon, or who do you think like for sure is gone? They're going to get rid of or deal first out of that bunch.
I think, man, let me just say I agree with John too. Like Malcolm Brogdon, I didn't even know that he was up for trades. Like, man, he is I love Malcolm Brogdon's game and what he brings to a team. But man, I'm gonna stick with Sabonis. That's my answer, and I think he'd probably be the first to be moved, because I think some teams watch him play, seeing what he's done for Indiana, and say, you know what? We could do a little bit more with him. We can put him in different positions. And if he's on our team, he can be a valuable piece going forward. So I'll say Sabonis has the most valuable and probably the piece that is moved. He probably nets you the most as well. So I would say Sabonis would be the first to be moved.
Okay, John.
I would say I would actually go with Miles Turner only because I think he's the easiest to be moved, right?
Yeah.
I think all 29 teams aren't willing. I mean, besides the Nuggets, because they already got Jokic, no reason having Miles Turner. But all like 28 to 29 teams are ready and excited to take on a player that's taking 3 to 4 blocks a game. So I think he'll be the easiest for them to move. What do you think, Jay?
I'm gonna go with Sabonis, just because I personally think his skill set could be used more because just his playmaking, and I think he can be serviceable. He's not the greatest defender, but in the right system, he can be serviceable defender. Like the effort is there, is what I'm trying to say. So any team could use that. So I'll go with Sabonis.
I also think some teams look at like Nikola Jokic and think, I'm not saying Sabonis is on his level, but similar kind of skill set, like he can get you some buckets, he can rebound. He's not the greatest defender, but he can also you can run your offense through him where you know that if you give him the ball, he's going to make the right decision with it. So I think he's kind of a poor man's Jokic, and a lot of teams that are probably watching thinking like, hey man, we see what this guy's doing in Denver. We get, the light version of him, and it works. And I think some team will. So I'll say Sabonis. But Miles Turner, though, he might be easier to move. I would agree with that as well. Sure. So, man, Indiana, they have some pieces, man. It stinks that it's going to work out.
Freaking pieces, dog.
They got some pieces, man.
And they've had this for so long, man. It's been for the last 3 to 4 years. It's been disappointing because this team right here should be making a serious second to third round playoff push, in my opinion, if they're playing well and together, man.
No doubt.
Definitely. Me and Jay talk about it all the time. Disappointing Pacers team, man. But all right, so let's get to our last statement here for the fill in the blank. And this one I'm very excited to hear what both of you have to say, man. This one is, all right, here you go. The best basketball player in the world right now. So I mean, technically in the NBA, because the NBA is the best league in the world. So the best basketball player in the world right now is.
Oh man, there's a few that you can pick from, but man, so I want to say Kevin Durant, he's the best, but when you look at the advanced numbers, Nikola Jokic is like number one in so many categories, in like top 5, top 10, and almost every other one. So if you're looking just strictly at the numbers, it's Nikola Jokic, he'd be the best player. But man, I have so much fun watching Kevin Durant, even Steph Curry. I think those two, for everything Nikola Jokic brings to a team, those two move the needle so much. They allow you to do so much as a team. So I would really say it's a toss-up between Kevin Durant and Steph Curry right now in the NBA.
But who would you go with, Jay?
I'm right there with Lance, but I'm leaning more towards KD just because, I mean, bro, the dude is a 7-foot point guard. God, like, bro, he's just different, man. And I just think he's playing at such a high level, especially with the pieces. I think Steph definitely has more around him. And for KD to be doing what he's doing with all those guys out, Harden in and out of the lineup, obviously Kyrie not playing yet, which that's a whole crazy situation, to be honest. But no, I just think it's KD right now. But Steph is right up there with him. But in terms of numbers, I think sometimes numbers don't tell the whole story in terms of Jokic. And just from the eye test, man, I think it's KD right now. It is the best player in the world. But Steph's right, that close, like 1A or 1B, excuse me. What about you, John? I know
Absolutely.
You, KD. Yeah.
And no, honestly, I'm right there. I'm right there with you guys. Of course, it's Steph and KD. And honestly, I just have so much fun watching both. Like, it's a brand of basketball. Well, KD, we just never seen a player like that. Curry's bringing a brand of basketball that we've just never seen, and just both are very fun to watch. So, but this is the way I'm going to answer it. Okay. I think Kevin Durant is the best player in the world, but I think what Stephen Curry is doing is more impressive. Now, that's not saying that Kevin Durant is and not saying Stephen Curry is a better player than Kevin Durant. Now, here's why I'm saying that. Stephen Curry is not the prototypical NBA 6'6", 6'7", jumping out the gym, 280 player, right? He's not that. He's a 6J. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he's like 6'3", 6'2", and
being generous. Yeah,
yeah,
like
being
right
generous.
yeah, right,
yeah,
right.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right. So he's doing that and just breaking so many NBA records, leading the league so many times in scoring and efficiency and all these things, man. So I definitely have to say that what Stephen Curry is doing is more impressive, but I just cannot go against a 7-foot point guard that can literally do everything on the court, man.
Too, like with Kevin Durant, like we all see the offensive numbers and we see what he does offensively, but he's a pretty good defensive player as well. So,
Man,
yeah, I would say, I was kind of leaning towards, I gave you 3 names, but I would say KD's probably the best player, best all around player in the NBA. I don't expect him to win defensive player of the year. He can't use that much energy on that side, but the fact that he can play both sides and then carry a team offensively, that's what I think makes him the most important player. Interesting that nobody picked LeBron James or Giannis. So
I think
good case for those guys.
I think I think with LeBron, I think it's father time. Father time's catching up to him, and it's tough to compare a 37-year-old LeBron James to a KD and Stephen Curry that are just lighting up the league right now. I think if someone were to put LeBron in there, it'd be more of like, oh, from what LeBron has done in the last 10 years. But this season, I mean, I'm talking this season right now, I don't think he's in that category. And then Giannis, honestly, me and Jay, we were talking about this the other day. We were saying Giannis is just sheer dominance. Just I'm going to dominate you. I'm not as skilled as you. I'm not as talented as you, but I'm just going to dominate you. And it's just going to be a bucket on your head every single time.
He's the most dominant player. If you asked me the most dominant player in the league, I would have said Giannis.
Absolutely.
But you said the best player in the world. Like that would be KD
talent-wise. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm right there with you. All right, cool. So that was cool. That was a cool little fill in the blank segment. So let's move into our next segment, and that's what you got, man. So for this what you got segment, we talk about any NBA news, NBA topics. So here we go, man. First topic that we got here is what you got. What's more impressive? Anthony Edwards the other day against the Nuggets, he scored 38 points on 67% from the field, 71% from three, and made 10 threes. He's the youngest player in NBA history to ever make 10 threes in a game. Is that more impressive, or is Gordon Hayward the other day against the Spurs had 41 points on 79% from the field. That's the highest field goal percentage in Hornets history. So what you got? What's more impressive, Anthony Edwards' game or Gordon Hayward's game? Both history-setting games.
Ooh, man, it's Anthony Edwards, man. 10 3-pointers in a game, those numbers, that many points, it's definitely Anthony Edwards. And he's doing it as like I think he's probably like 6'3", 6'4". I know I think they list him at like 6'5", but he's a short guy putting up numbers like that. Yeah. So yeah, I always think it's more impressive when a shorter guy does something than a taller guy. So yeah, I'll give it to Anthony Edwards, but that's nothing to turn your head on towards Gordon Hayward. That's a hell of a game as well. But I'll give it to Anthony Edwards.
Jay? Facts. Yeah, I'm going with Anthony Edwards, Lance, on this because number one, it's his second year in the league and he's doing it. And I'm loving what I'm seeing from Anthony Edwards is like last year and even this year to a certain extent, his shot selection was extremely questionable. And now I see he's figuring out and starting to understand being able to score at all three levels, whether it be 3-pointers, the mid-range game. And I mean, we've seen what he can do at the rim, like above the rim finishing. So just seeing that growth from last year to this year, and then putting that in that effort and that performance that night with 8 threes, man, I think that was incredible performance from Ant. So that you got to go with that. Yeah. What's up, Lance?
Oh, I was going to say also, who Anthony Edwards is playing with. He has some big names like Karl Anthony Towns, Malik Beasley, not really a household name, but that guy can get buckets as well. Mm-hmm. And then, D'Angelo Russell, another bucket getter. So being able to put up those type of numbers, that scoring output with those shooting splits, that's impressive in itself. And again, Charlotte, they got LaMelo, they have Mikal Bridges. Wow, I can't believe I'm just blanking. Miles Bridges, and then Gordon Hayward. So it's, there's a little bit more meat on the bones in Minnesota than there is in Charlotte for that type of scoring performance.
Absolutely. I'm right there with both you guys, man. I'm with Anthony Edwards on this. And I think honestly, the biggest thing that I keep like just going back to is the kid is 20 years old. He's not even 21 yet. Like, he's not even 21. Like, that's insane to me, dog. And he puts up a performance like that, and it's extremely impressive. I mean, and Gordon Hayward's, like how you said, Lance, is nothing to laugh at, nothing to scoff at. It's just something very, very history setting, very important. But I just think that what Anthony Edwards is doing at this level is just, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. All right, so cool. So let's move on to our next what you got here, and that's, so we talked a little bit about Curry and KD. We just saw KD recently reclaim that number one spot in the Kia MVP race. But like how Jay Hill was saying, Curry remains in that 1A, right? I mean 1A, 1B section right there, very close for second. But who will bring it home? What you got?
Who will bring home the MVP? Oh man, that's tough. I would. If the season ended today, I think it's a two-man race between Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. I think what both of them are doing is equally as impressive, especially with KD still, I mean, he did have an Achilles injury. I think is this his first year after the injury? Because if it is, man, it's his in a heartbeat. So, yeah, I would say right now, if the season ended, it would be Kevin Durant that wins MVP by like a slight edge over Steph Curry, just because the Warriors, they have that experience. They have a few more pieces. The Nets are playing without Joe Harris. Kyrie Irving's been out. They lost DeAndre Jordan a little bit. They have a bunch of new faces in Brooklyn. So they're asking KD to do a lot more than what Steph Curry's asked to do. So I would give it to KD as the MVP.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And I think if the season ended today, I think it would be KD, specifically because the reason I say that is because, he's playing with less. I think he really wants it. Like, the reason he left Golden State was he wanted to be that guy. And especially with all these guys out, Kyrie, James Harden, he's put in he's getting all the minutes. He's playing for extended amount of time. And I think for Steph's sake, he's getting rested. He has his rotation where he's getting far less minutes, or like a good amount of less minutes than KD. And I think he just wants to save his body for the playoffs. And I think Steph's right now, he's at a point in his career, and just the type of player he is, unselfish, he'll give up that MVP. He'll let KD get it, but I think he really wants that fourth ring, man. So that's how I'm feeling about it. But I give it to KD right now.
Okay, man. I honestly, guys, I'm going to give it to KD on the fact that he has less, and he's really out there still doing it and really carrying this team. I mean, the other day I watched the Nets game, and we had Kessler Edwards, just a bunch of players that no one really knew about, and KD's out there playing with them, making them seem like good role players that have been in the league for some time. But I just don't want to just skip over and I guess not acknowledge what Steph is really doing for that MVP race. Not only individually. We see his number of individuals. You could just go on Basketball Reference and see what he's doing individually. You could just turn on the game any night and see what he's doing individually. But it's what he's doing for his team. It's how he leads his team on not only on the defensive end, but as far as what are you doing in the locker room, it's what you're doing when you're off ball. Jay talks about it all the time. He does not stop running. He passes the ball, running around everywhere. That's very important, man. You know what I'm saying? Like that's key for your star player to be doing. I mean, we know. I don't mean to bash players like James Harden, but we know players that are just so much more talented than everybody. They seem sometimes to have that attitude. It's like, all right, like here's the ball. I'm gonna just stand up, chill. Whenever you need a bucket, come give me the ball again, and I'll score. And they're just that good. But Curry's that good and brings the attitude, man. So I mean, all around. Curry's got a very good case, but just on the fact that Kevin Durant's leading a bunch of no names to the first seed in the East is just extremely important, man. So, all right, that was cool. So let's get to our second to last here for what you got. This is more of just let me know who you would pick in the situation. But if you guys needed a game-winning shot. Let's say you're in a half-court set, you're taking the ball out of bounds, like that Damian Lillard shot he hit on Paul George and wave goodbye, right? So let's say you're in that situation. Who do you want? Who do you want for the game-winning shot? Would you rather have Devin Booker or would you rather have Luka Doncic? Who you got?
Can I take Austin Reeves for the Lakers? I'm kidding. Out of those two, Man,
That's so tough.
That is really tough. That is really tough. I want to say Luka, but I might take it. I might give it to Devin Booker, man. There's just something about him that just I would feel more confident with him taking the last shot than almost any other player in the NBA. So it's just more of like, if I don't really know what I'm judging that on or anything, but like Luka, I think he would make the right decision in the final seconds of a game. But if it comes down to hitting one big basket to win the game, I'm taking to Devin Booker. I've seen him do it a few times already. So I'm taking Devin Booker, man. He has that Kobe in him where it's like, even if he's having a bad game,
yeah,
I don't care if he's missed 20 shots. I want him to take that last shot for me.
Yeah, I'm feeling that same way, Lance, like about just that Mamba mentality. Like Devin Booker, not to say Luka doesn't want it. I mean, Devin Booker wants it more. I feel like he demands the ball. He's cool with missing. But I think he just knows he's gonna make it, and that's what I want from between the two. And I just think he can get to his spot at any time. Whereas Luka, I think he's foul baiting and doing this. Devin Booker can get to whatever spot he wants to on the floor at any time, and I'm extremely confident in that. So I'm gonna go with D-Book in that.
Absolutely. I'm right there with both of you guys are going with D-Book. He's just both are, I mean, of course, professional scorers, but D-Book is just on a whole nother level. Like how you said, Lance, D-Book could be 0 for 20, but that 21st shot, he's gonna take it like he's been 20 for 20. And that kind of mentality, like how you said, Jay, that's that Mamba mentality that just you can't work that. You just have it or you don't, man. And D-Book got it, man. But all right, so then let's go to our last little statement here for the What You Got segment. So guys, look, the Nets are leading the league right now with 10 missing players due to COVID. The Bulls are second with 7. The Knicks are in third with 5th, and then the Lakers are in the Lakers are in 5th. Yeah, standings for COVID. That's a bad standing. And then the Lakers have 5 players out. So, guys, what you got? Which team will be most affected by the absence of their players? And, of course, you would say, oh, Nets, they're missing most players. But, like, the Lakers are in a key vital spot. The Bulls, 7 players are some important-ass 7 players. So just think about it in that perspective. So which team will be most affected by the absence of their players? I can read the teams again if you want me to.
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah. No, go on. Read the teams.
Real quick.
It's the Nets with 10 players, the Bulls with 7, the Knicks with 6, and the Lakers with 5.
So are we counting Anthony Davis out for the Lakers too, or are we just talking strictly COVID cases?
Oh, we'll count Anthony Davis because, I mean, he's out for the next 4 weeks.
Because that makes a huge difference for the Lakers. I mean, you have LeBron James. He's still one of the best in the league, but he'll be playing out of position at center because you can't rely on Dwight Howard and DeAndre Jordan to give you too many minutes, going forward. So, yeah, I would probably say the Lakers, man, just because Anthony Davis is one of those guys that's out, and they said they're going to reevaluate him in 4 weeks. So I would say the Lakers. I mean, I guess you could go with Zach LaVine out for the Chicago Bulls as well, but I'm going to go ahead and say the Lakers because Anthony Davis is a big piece. Even if he's not really playing like it and that numbers aren't really showing it, he is a big piece for what they do. So I'll say the Lakers.
Jay, what about you?
Yeah, I feel people are so quick to like turn ADs never ain't shit. Like people are so quick to forget the past, like, and be prisoners of the moment. It's so funny to me, but AD's a great player. Great AD's one of the greats. Like, let's not get it twisted. So for him to be out for that extended amount of time, and especially the Lakers sitting at the 6th seed, 16 and 14, they need all the help they can get. They need all the players, all their stars, at full health. Then have those, even the supplementary pieces out. I think that's a huge loss for them. You need all the bodies you can get to a team who I didn't think was deep enough anyway, and who wants to be in the playoffs. They don't want an old team, like an aging roster like that. You don't want to be in the playing game. So I think him being out for that long and the rest of the players and protocol is big for the Lakers. And I think it's something they have to navigate and continue to stay afloat.
Yeah, and like the Lakers, I think they're on their 15th different starting lineup this season, which is more than what Frank Vogel did when they won the championship back in 2020. So that's a big piece too, like chemistry. How do all these pieces fit when you have so many guys in and out of the roster, in and out of the lineup, it can be pretty tough. So yeah, Lakers, I think by a landslide. I mean, as long as the Nets have Kevin Durant, they pretty much have what their team is going to be doing. It's going to be set in place. So yeah, it's definitely the Lakers in my opinion.
Right. Agree.
Okay, so you know what, guys? You guys are such good debaters, and you guys are so good at what you do. You guys convince me, man. Because honestly, coming into this, I had the Bulls because the Bulls just had DeMar, Zach, Lonzo, AC, just had so many important players, and like DeMar, Zach, and Lonzo and AC. That's kind of like what runs the Bulls. But I mean, as you guys are talking, I'm thinking to myself, like, man, I mean, AD is a catalyst to this Lakers team. If the Lakers team goes as AD goes, and the Lakers haven't been going because AD hasn't been going, and with now him being out for the next 4 weeks and maybe even more, because like how you said, they're going to be reevaluating him in 4 weeks. I think that they're definitely going to be most affected by their players' absence due to COVID, injury, and all that, man. So. All right, cool, guys. So while we're on the lines of talking about the Lakers, then let's just talk about that mishap that happened on Friday. The Lakers lost to the Wolves 110-92. And I mean, I guess let's just start off from the Lakers side of things, and only because we were just talking about it. And Jay, what did I tell you last episode? We talked about the Lakers' dominant performance against the Mavs. And what did I say? I gave them their flowers. I said they all did great. Russell did great. LeBron did great. AD did great. But I told you at the end, there's a caveat. I want to see what next game is going to be like, because they have lacked consistency throughout the season and lacked consistent effort throughout the season so many times. And if you're a Lakers fan right now, you got to be pissed off, man, because after a dominating performance like that, they turn around and do something like this, man. I mean, you could see it from the beginning. The effort was just off. Like their body language was off. It seemed like they didn't want to be there. They weren't boxing out, missing easy like defensive rotations, getting caught several times on back cuts, and getting caught just standing up, man. I know AD, he went down with that ankle injury with like 2 minutes left in the first, and that definitely took the life out of the Lakers. But this is just a little interesting point that I noted here on my notes as I was watching the game. The Lakers actually went on a run. They went on a 9-0 run when AD went out, and then when AD came back in, they lost that run. And when AD came back in, he looked unengaged, and then he came back and then now we know he sprains his MCL. But the Lakers go on a run with AD off the court, and then AD comes back on the court, they lose the run, and then Minnesota go on a 22-7 run and really blow the game open in the third. So honestly, guys, I mean, we could talk about it a little bit, but like I'm starting to just question if AD's okay. Like if he's mentally okay, because what's going on? Because I'm watching the game, guys, and I'm just seeing lack of effort. I'm seeing body language. I'm seeing loose balls going the other end. He's jogging for it and then stops jogging. Like that's just no effort. That's just no effort. But I don't know if you guys, want to talk about some things from the Lakers side of things, from the Wolves side of things, but just really a horrendous game, man.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. No, I mean, mine's not. Real quick shout out, just Isaiah with 2 A's, Thomas, man. I love Isaiah Thomas. Lance's Isaiah Thomas as well. Two of like my favorite. I love small guards. Two of my favorite of all time, and to see him back in the NBA court with a team and put in a solid game for the Lakers, 19 points, and 41% and getting a chance to be back in the league. That was great to see. But I just had to give that quick shout out. But Lance, go on if you want to talk about the game as well.
I was just going to say, in terms of that game, I agree with John. Like, it just seemed like the Lakers weren't really into it. I was watching a little bit of it, and defensively, they didn't get back. They let a lot of easy baskets by the Timberwolves. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns looked like he should have been on the 75 greatest players list over Anthony Davis. Like, and Karl Anthony Towns, he's been kind of quiet this year a little bit in terms of, him being an all-star big man. Like, I haven't really heard too much about him. You hear, I mean, then again, they do have Anthony Edwards on the team, and that guy steals the show. But man, Karl Anthony Towns looked great. The Timberwolves as a whole looked great. The Lakers, I just don't know what it is. I think they just have so many different pieces, and the pieces of the puzzle just don't fit together. It just doesn't work out. And I don't really know what the answer is for the Lakers going forward, but against the Timberwolves, they looked like a team that could potentially be in the play-in game versus the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So since you talked a little bit about puzzle pieces, fitting, this and that. I have a question for you, Lance, because there's a certain someone in a team that said they're interested in trading and they're open to trade talks for a certain player. And that certain player is Jeremy Grant. And one of the teams interested was the Los Angeles Lakers, Lance. So what do you think about that fit? Who would you want back if you're Detroit? Are you entertaining that? And kind of talk a little bit about that and those rumors.
Oh, man, everybody wants a piece of Jeremy Grant. That's what it seems like. And, for the right package, I'm willing to let him go. I don't make those decisions, but I'd be okay with Jeremy Grant on a new team. Depends on what I'm getting back. Yeah, I think he fits in with the Lakers, but really, I just think they had the formula even going into the team, going through the season last year. You had to get rid of a couple of those personalities because they weren't all meshing, but really what the Lakers need, they need to find guys that are okay with less roles on a team. You don't need a bunch of all-stars. We've seen it time and time again. Like, it just doesn't seem to work. You want guys that accept a role, whether it's at the end of the bench, in the starting lineup, playing 15 minutes a game. And they really just don't have enough of these guys that are willing to accept a lesser role and look at the bigger picture, which is a championship. But in terms of Jeremy Grant, like, I'll be honest with you, the Lakers, they don't really have anything on this team that I would want in return. Maybe THT, but we kind of already got Hamidou Diallo. They're kind of the same player, in my opinion. They were even averaging similar numbers when Hami was in Oklahoma City last year. So, Jeremy Grant makes a lot of sense. He does a lot of great things. Like, he's good at cutting to the basket. He's good with moving without the ball. He's a good shooter. He can be a 3-and-D guy. He can play both forward spots. But, man, in terms of a package, there's not enough coming back from Los Angeles for the Detroit Pistons to accept any trade for Jeremy Grant. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. I think maybe last year, if they gave up or given up like KCP, you got him back, or Kyle Kuzma. That'd be a little bit more. And THT, you put a package like that together. Maybe Montrezl Harrell, guys that are like on the end of their contract, and then you could further bring in guys or get other pieces to put around Cade. I think last year would have been more ideal, but this year, right? I think that's the issue in terms of what you're getting back if you're Detroit. So, right there.
Absolutely, man. And just to talk a little bit more, because I gotta do it, man. I'm a heavy. If you're messing up, I gotta come down on you, man. So I gotta come down real quick on Westbrook and LeBron, and because of their lack of aggression. I always critique Westbrook for in the games where he shoots more than Anthony Davis when they both play the whole game. I always critique AD. I'm like, you should never be letting Russell Westbrook shoot more than you. And I always critique Westbrook because he should not be trying to take more shots than Anthony Davis is. But the game that we need Russell Westbrook to be aggressive and take those shots, he doesn't, and he just had to take a back seat. AD played 20 minutes. Russell Westbrook played 30 minutes plus, and they both only took 7 shots. LeBron James, when AD went down, I really thought, like, all right, cool. I'm not worried. LeBron James is going to just absolutely take over. But that did not happen. Like, guys, LeBron James only took 3 shots in the third quarter. AD did not play the entire third quarter, and LeBron took 3 shots. He ended up on 18 points, 10 rebounds on 38% from the field. But, to me, if you have players if you have your best player, LeBron may be your most important player, but AD's the best player. If you have your best player out, everyone and their moms need to step up, man. So I am just definitely disappointed with the Lakers' performance overall. And then I just want to add this in there because I was watching the game with my mom, and my mom looked at me. My mom was like, do you think maybe the Lakers need to fire the coach? And I was like, yes, they do. Even my mom said it. My mom just don't even watch basketball.
That's cool, Mom.
That's for real, huh? Even my mom was like, do you think the Lakers need to fire their coach? I was like, yes, they very much do, man. So just a very embarrassing performance from the Lakers. And then just to touch a little bit on the Wolves side of things, Karl Anthony Towns, you said it, Lance. It looked like he belonged on that top 75 team, man. 28 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks on 55% from the field, 80% from the free throw line. He had it his way wherever he wanted, man. And to be real with you, he could have had more. Like, he could have had more points, but the Wolves opened up the lead so large in the third quarter, it allowed him to rest because, he had 23 at half. he had 23 points at halftime. He ended it with 28. So, I mean, he could have arguably went for a 50 burger. But what's up, Lance?
Oh, I was going to say, in the energy that Karl Anthony Towns was playing with, like, he was just feeling himself in that game. Like, you could tell that he took that matchup with Anthony Davis personally, and just something clicked where he's like, you know what, I got to do something for my team. And he put him on their back and he did it. But I want to go back to the Lakers just real quick. I think, too, what they need to have is, I mean, LeBron James does a fantastic job of this, but he's probably going to be playing center a lot going forward with Anthony Davis out. I think he's played like 96 minutes as a center this year for the Lakers, and they're expecting that to go up. They need to find a guy, and they have him on the roster in Rajon Rondo. That's a guy that he can set the pace offensively for a team. He's not much of a scorer, but he's a guy that dictates where the ball goes like he knows where it needs to go. Like, he's going to feed the high hand. He's going to put guys in the best position. And I think they might need to make a lineup change. I'm not saying taking Russell Westbrook out of the lineup or anything, but I'm saying try to find, in the lineup where Rajon Rondo can go and have him run the team for a little bit. Have LeBron play the big spot, have Russell Westbrook play off the guard and play off of Rajon Rondo. They're already doing it with Talen Horton-Tucker and Russell Westbrook, two guys that I think are very similar in play style. Not saying THT is like Russell at all, but I'm just saying their play styles are similar. And they were trying to make that work in the backcourt. I say bring in another non-shooter in Rajon Rondo, let him run the show, or at least let him run the second unit with some shooters. Find some guys that he can play with, because I think Rajon Rondo, even though he's getting up there in age, he's a guy that can move that needle a little bit more as long as he's in the right position. And I might just be, speaking on things that, were back in the past with Rajon Rondo, but he's in the league for a reason. I think he's a guy that can help a team out. In the Lakers, they need to be finding some answers going forward.
No, Lance, you're not speaking from the past at all. You're speaking truth, man, and that's the same thing I think. I think the Lakers need to be playing a lot more Rondo and allow LeBron to have, especially right now, less on-ball duties and be able to run the lane more and just be able to do that, man. I mean, this was a great game for Cat and the Wolves, man. Definitely a disappointing game for the Lakers. But I mean, you win some, you lose some, but the day goes on. 82-game season, man. So let's see, man. But Jay, you got any games that you want to talk about for the weekend?
Yeah, I'm gonna highlight one game that I saw last night, and that was the Washington Wizards with the 109-103 victory against the Utah Jazz. And what kind of I saw in that game, number one, obviously the Wizards coming into that game with on a 4-game losing streak. It was a game that, number one, coming up against the Jazz, if you can get some confidence and build momentum and beating a team like that, that's huge. And that's exactly what they did. And it was just a dominant performance by the Wizards, a team who hasn't been playing the best basketball. And it was kind of question answering time for them. Are they going to be able to rewrite the ship there, start playing better basketball after, having such a hot start at the beginning of the season, and to where talks are now, is Bradley Beal going to re-sign? Heard him answer that question, like, I got to be selfish and think about myself and see what happens next. And not really saying, yeah, I'm here to stay. So to get a win like this could potentially be something they could build on. But let's just talk about a little bit about the numbers. Obviously, anytime what the Wizards did, having six players scoring in double figures with 11 points or more, huge. Off the bench, 39 points combined, another recipe to winning. Anytime you can get bench production, especially against a team like the Jazz, that's a plus. And then we saw the old Bradley Beal last night. What we saw last year, we saw flashes of that last night. And with 37 points, 7 assists, 54% field, 40% from the three-point line, and 90% from the free throw line. Obviously, he's been shooting at piss poor from the three-point line at 29% on the season. To shoot 40% and then 50% from the field goal, huge. Dinwiddie continues to struggle, 0 for 7, 0 points, 0 for 3. I mean, he's just been having a rough go of it. They're just honestly, their backcourt's been struggling in this time that they've had. But the Jazz uncharacteristically had 15 turnovers, shot 63%, man. Just a recipe for disaster for the Jazz. And then the Wizards were just playing great basketball on their side and something they can look to continue building on. But I don't know if you guys have anything to add or saw anything that game that stood out to you, man.
Man, the Wizards, they had 8 guys play 20 or more minutes as well. Like, they're a deep team. They're showing that depth. Denny Advia, man, he was a guy that stood out to me. He had 11.7 rebounds, 2 assists. He played some good defense too, man. Like, that guy, I know people had question marks about him defensively, but he looked good defensively last night. I think the problem for the Wizards is just finding that second piece that can play along Bradley Beal. You know, you need another guy to step up. It kind of looked like Kyle Kuzma was taking over that role a little bit, but he only had 8 points. Like, I think he's still a little inconsistent, especially as a second option. You have Montrezl Harrell, but he's kind of limited to what he could do offensively, even though he's having a great bounce back year, despite how he played last year for the Lakers. You know, Spencer Dinwiddie, I mean, he does a little bit of everything but scoring, and they need someone to score. So they have all these different pieces, but they don't have that second fiddle that can play next to Bradley Beal. And I think that's really what hurts them. I mean, I love all the pieces. Like, they have, in my opinion, the pieces to that a championship team would want. You got guys that know their role. They've accepted that. They've accepted the responsibilities you've given them, but they just don't have that second guy that can take them over the top. So that's what I really think the Washington Wizards are missing this year.
You think Beal is the one on a championship team, or do you think it has to be other person as the Batman, and then Beal is kind of that Robin guy? You want to say?
Ideally, like, I think if you're trying to build a team around Bradley Beal, you're probably going to be like an NBA purgatory. You're going to be a middle of the pack team. You're probably going to be like an 8th, 7th, or 6th team, or you're going to be ending up with like the 14th, 13th, 12th pick in the NBA draft. It can go either way. But I think if you put the right pieces around him, he can be your number one scorer. He can be a guy that you lean on to go get you a bucket. But they need to have the right pieces in place. Right. But ideally, I would love to see Bradley Beal. I said this last time on your guys' podcast. I would love to see Bradley Beal play with like a Luka Doncic type. That makes the most sense. A guy that can play off the ball. He can cut. Luka can feed him. Like Tim Hardaway does a great job playing alongside Luka. Why not get in a more elite player like Bradley Beal who does those same things, but at a much higher level than what Tim Hardaway does? So yeah, I mean, as a first option, I don't love Bradley Beal, but I think with the right pieces, you know, and I say the right pieces because I'm a Pistons fan. You know, we had the right pieces around Chauncey Billups and Rip Hamilton, and they won a championship back in 2004. So when you build a team around a guy like that, like a Bradley Beal, you just got to have the right pieces. You got to have guys that know their role, and then they can get it done. I mean, another great example is the 2001 Sixers with Allen Iverson. Like, they just let him do his thing, but they had everybody else surrounding him playing their roles. And I think that's another way they can get it done. But the Wizards don't have if you are going forward with Bradley Beal, you need to have the right pieces, which I think they have the right pieces in place, but you need to have another guy that can go out and get you a bucket when, you know, another guy they can rely on. So there's a few things missing for him, but I guess to answer your question again, I don't love Bradley Beal as a number one option. I like him as a number 2, but if you put the right pieces around him, you know, you can have some success.
Okay.
Sorry. Damn. Absolutely, man. I mean, Lance, you know, also to talk about, you know, like how you said with having another guy that Bradley Beal can, you know, he can take a rest or he can, you know, defer to. That should be Spencer Dinwiddie. You know, that should be Spencer Dinwiddie. That's why I honestly picked him up in fantasy. Like, I really thought Spencer Dinwiddie was like, I was like, okay, cool. It's either going to be Bradley Beal getting buckets or it's going to be Spencer Dinwiddie getting buckets. And he just didn't do it. He's just not, he hasn't been bringing it. He's had some good games this season, but not the Spencer Dinwiddie that I think that we all projected and we all saw like, wow, when Spencer Dinwiddie's on the Nets, like we were looking at him and Karis LeVert, like, all right, these guys are the next like 2 best wing scorers in the league. And I mean, unfortunately, Karis LeVert, you know, had to go down with some injuries, some stuff like that. He had to deal with that and that tumor. And then Spencer Dinwiddie just hasn't been there, man. But I definitely think that Spencer Dinwiddie has, I would say, at least from my expectations, let down a little bit from what I expected. And then just to talk a little bit more, you know, about that Jazz and Wizards game, I want to bring up Jordan Clarkson. You know, Jordan Clarkson, everyone likes him, like the fun guy, all tattoos and all that. And I'm with it, man. But I have to bring something up, man. I think he's an inefficient scorer, dog. Like he just like the amount of shots he chucks up, and I'm watching the game and I'm like, dog, you could have easily dumped that off to Rudy Gobert. Easy dunk right there. But you want to take a up and under crazy layup that doesn't even really have a chance of going in, or take the fadeaway threes. And again, don't get me wrong, like fadeaway threes for certain players are good shots. If Stephen Curry, if KD, if man, even Seth, even just some above average shooters are taking some fadeaway threes, and that's what you need to do. Okay, I'm cool with it, man. But you're Jordan Clarkson, like, and I'm not trying to disrespect Jordan Clarkson, but I'm just saying you gotta understand there's levels to this. There's why you don't let Donovan Mitchell take fadeaway threes. If someone's gonna be taking them, it should not be you, man. I mean, just this game, he had 12 points on 28% from the field and 10% from three. I just think that he doesn't understand when to stop. Like he just thinks like, okay, well, I'll hit the next one, I'll hit the next one, I'll hit the next one. And I guess that's a good mentality to have for certain players. If you're a star player, if your team needs you to do that, but the Jazz don't need Donovan Mitchell to be a high volume scorer. If he is, great, that's bench production. But if he's not, we don't need you to keep chucking up 10 threes and make it one of them. So I just wanted to bring that up, man. I feel like Jordan Clarkson gets a lot of love, and I'm not trying to take away no love from him, but I just want people to look at Jordan Clarkson for what he really is. And then also I want to highlight Rudy Gobert, man. I mean, Jake talked about it a little bit, but he just had the most, like, you look at his stat line and you're like, all right, like if I could imagine if Rudy Gobert had a stat line, if a stat line had a name, it would be this stat line that he had would be Rudy Gobert. 11 points, 19 rebounds, 6 blocks. And it's just like, he's not doing much on offense, but he's bringing you so many boards. He's so helpful on defense. He's just that defensive anchor. And then I just want to give one more quick shout out to Rudy Gobert, because he dominated Daniel Gafford, dog. Like just dominated him. Like out of the 6 blocks that Rudy Gobert got, 5 were on Daniel Gafford, and all 5 were Daniel Gafford trying to post Rudy up. So it was just like a bully ball show out there. Daniel Gafford kept trying to go to the same move, and he kept just shutting it down. So just huge ups to Rudy Gobert and the Jazz, man. But real quick, guys, before we move away from the Jazz and Wizards, I have to ask this real quick. Not just this game, I would say take careers. Let's say careers. If you had a pick, you had one more spot on your team. Jay Hill, you have a team, and Lance, you got a team. You had a pick. Well, one more spot. Are you guys taking Donovan Mitchell or Bradley Beal?
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, I'm taking Don Mitch.
Oh yeah, dude. He's man, like he's good dynamic. Offensively. He's good. He's pretty good defensively. He has a little bit more of an all-around to his aroundness to his game. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Dwayne Wade. So I'm definitely taking Donovan Mitchell. But I want to talk about Jordan Clarkson real quick. Like he's a 6 man, but like he is inconsistent. So he averages 15 points per game. How many games do you think he actually had 15 points in this year? If you had to guess. Like this is, I promise I'll make a point to this. He's had 2 games where he actually had his average.'s either well below it or way higher than it. Like that shows the inconsistency that you were talking about. Like he's not a consistent scorer. So, you got to live with what he gives you each and every game. Like there's going to be a game where he looks like the best player on the court, and there's another game where you're just going to be scratching your head wondering why they employ this guy. That's who Jordan Clarkson is, and he's a lot like J.R. Smith was too. I remember J.R. Smith. Mm-hmm. I think when he won 6 man of the year for the Knicks, he was averaging 18 a game, but he never had 18 points in a game. Like he never had it was either that or 14 points a game. I forget which year it was that, he was a good 6 man or whatever, but there was one year where he never hit his average in a game. He was either high above it or really low below it. And Jordan Clarkson's in that same archetype as player.
That's not a good archetype that you want to be in, man. Not a very good archetype. No. But all right, man. So Lance, do you got any games that you want to touch on that happened, or are you good?
So real quick, I just want to I want to talk about the game that I went to last night. It was the Pistons versus the Rockets. The Pistons are on a 14-game losing streak, which ties the franchise record. It's terrible. I hate the losing. I expected it. I think I even said on your podcast they were going to be one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference. So I'm glad I got that right. And but the reason I want to talk about that game is Killian Hayes and Cade Cunningham, they did something that has never been done in the NBA before. They both had 10 assists. Cade had 11, Killian had 10. They were the first pair of teammates that are 20 or younger to actually do that in an NBA game. So it was pretty cool to witness something like that. Like, I remember checking the Jumbotron because they have the stats at the bottom. I'm like, man, both these guys have 10 plus assists. This is wild. Like, I didn't even know where all these came from because they only scored like 107 points in the game last night or 106. So, it's just, the game was fun. It was cool. Got to bring my daughter to it. It was her first professional basketball game. So that was cool and a special moment. Just wish the Pistons came away with a W, but Cade Cunningham has been playing phenomenal the last 9 games in the NBA, and he's making a case for Rookie of the Year. So that's the only game I'm going to talk about, but it stunk for the Pistons fans. But, got to see history. That was cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And then Lance, while we have you on here, a Pistons expert, I know you definitely been watching Cade and digesting, taking everything that he's been doing. Me and Jay, I mean, the fans know we are huge on Evan Mobley. We are a big Evan Mobley guy. We think he's probably going to take home the Rookie of the Year. But how do you feel about that? From a Pistons fan's perspective.
So Evan Mobley, he was one of the guys that I was like, man, I'd be perfectly fine with the Pistons taking him number 1 overall. Like, I love what he can bring. I didn't know he was that good offensively, and I really didn't know he was that good defensively. Like, holy crap, you talk about a chess piece on a basketball court. That guy is like, there were some lineups that the Cavaliers, I believe, were using Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and Kevin Love in the front court. Like, that's a huge lineup to be putting out on a basketball floor. Like, how do you score against that much length? So Evan Mobley, like, if he wins Rookie of the Year, I would not be disappointed that Cade lost to him because he's playing great as a rookie. And it's a shame that he was out for a couple weeks with an elbow injury. But Evan Mobley, if he wins Rookie of the Year, I wouldn't be disappointed. He's been playing great this year. I mean, I'm rooting for Cade, but Evan Mobley, he's been one hell of a player early on in his career. Same with Scotty Barnes, though. Everybody was sleeping on that guy.
Yeah.
Man.
Everybody.
Like, dude, I remember, like, we were doing a Pistons draft talk episode when we knew the Pistons were getting a top 6 pick. I had another guy come on. His name is Tom. He's from the Driving to the Basket podcast. And we were talking about that. And he's like, dude, look, Scotty Barnes is the nightmare pick for the Pistons. And I'm like, what? I would love Scotty Barnes on Detroit. I love his energy. Like, I mean, he wasn't much of an offensive player for sure, but like, he could do a little bit of everything. He fixed his jump shot. It's looking a lot better. Man, I don't know he's to my own horn, but I'm glad I was right about Scotty Barnes going forward. He has made me look like a genius. So yeah, Scotty Barnes, like, that's another one of those guys that I wouldn't be disappointed if he won Rookie of the Year either. Like, he's been playing great for Toronto. So yeah, man, this rookie class has been a lot of fun to watch.
This rookie class. What's up, Jay?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting that we're talking about the rookie class because there's something I wanted to bring up when it came to this, and I was talking to John about this. So, you talked about Lance and John. You guys were talking about the top 4 picks, but there's one particular player you didn't mention, and which brings me back to 2003. And tie it back into why I'm bringing this up. The first pick in the 2003 draft was LeBron James, as we know, by the Cleveland Cavaliers. And Lance, sorry to say it, the second pick in the draft was the Detroit Pistons with the man, the myth, the legend, Darko Milicic. And then the third pick was Carmelo, obviously by Denver, Chris Bosh at 4, and then to the Raptors, D Wade at 5. So pushing it now back to this past year, the 2021 draft, the Pistons obviously took Cade Cunningham. Jalen Green went to the Houston Rockets. Evan Mobley at 3 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Scotty Barnes at 4 to the Toronto Raptors. And the reason I say that is because out of those 4 players, I personally think that Jalen Green is the worst out of those 4 in terms of future and in terms of the Rockets, I believe, took the biggest risk out of seeing upside. I think he can be a great player, but so far he hasn't shown that. Obviously he's injured right now, but out of those 4, I believe that the other 3 have the potential to be the better players. And I think maybe Houston might have made the mistake that Darko Milicic, maybe not on that level. Darko Milicic had some serviceable years He was part of that championship team. I guess that's his best career achievement. But I think that Jalen Green will be the worst out of those four, in my opinion. Just in terms of. But how are you feeling about that?
I was gonna say, like, the championship was great for Darko, but the amount of money he made in the NBA,
Right.
that was the real win right there. From I think you came away with like $68 million. But no, Jalen Green, man, it's funny, man. Like, I've always like I go back and forth with this. Like, I love when a guy is, confident in himself, where, like, I mean, borderline cocky, whatever. That kind of bothers me. And Jalen Green, man, I was rooting for him, even though he said all that stuff about Detroit, like, want to be the number 1 overall pick. There's nothing going on in the city. That was a slap to my face because Detroit is an amazing city. So, I mean, where I'm basically going with that is, right now he looks like the worst of the 5 picks for sure. But I think he'll be all right. I think he'll be a pretty good scorer. I don't know if he'll be leading the league in scoring like what some people said. Like, I think he'll probably be closer when it's all said and done. He'll probably be a pretty good starter in the NBA. I don't know if he's the franchise guy that people thought. I mean, Cade certainly looks like a franchise player. Evan Mobley looks like a franchise player. Scotty Barnes looks, I mean, like I said, he looks solid. I don't know if he's a franchise player, but I know he's a piece to, I know he's a piece to a contending team down the line. Jalen Green, jury's still out on him and everything. But yeah, man, like, it's kind of funny, because a lot of Houston fans thought they came away with the right player. And he's just, he's hurt right now, unfortunately. But man, he has not looked good being number 2 overall.
Man, not at all, man. But all right. So I just wanted to, talk to you a little bit about that, Lance, having Pistons expert here with us. We had to talk a little bit of Cade Cunningham and the rookies with you, man. But all right, so guys, let's move on to our last and final segment, man. And that's player of the week. I'll go ahead and kick my player of the week off, man. And I know I saw every single play. He was kicking the Lakers' butt up and down the court, and that's Karl-Anthony Towns, man. I mean, the last 10 games, he's just been a monster. 27 points per game, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block, 1 steal, on 52% from the field, 38% from 3, and 75% from the free throw line. He's been leading his team to wins. He's been bringing that energy that you were talking about, Lance. And honestly, that's all you can really ask for. A lot of people used to say Karl-Anthony Towns is soft. Karl-Anthony Towns doesn't bring that energy, but that's what he has been doing in this past season. I mean, this season and especially this past week, he's been bringing it on the energy end, bringing it on the efficiency end. And honestly, my player of the week goes to him, man. But Jay, you got your player of the week ready, or you want me to kick it to Lance?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with mine. A team who, a player who they didn't win all their games, but I thought he was playing at an extremely high level. He's a night-to-night triple-double threat now. And that's Fred VanVleet with 2 big performances, one being against obviously an undermanned Warrior team last night, and then against the Brooklyn Nets, the class of the East. I thought he had a great, efficient week for the Raptors. Obviously 27 points last night on 60% from the 3-point line, 52% from the field goal, 12 assists, 3 steals, 1 block, 7 rebounds. And then against the Nets, put in up 30-piece, 31 on 43% from the field, 42% from the 3-point line, 4 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals. So he's getting it just done on both ends of the floor, leading that bunch. The Raptors had a slower start, have been struggling with some injuries and guys being out. And I think Fred's just been the catalyst and the leader that they needed to fill those shoes of Kyle Lowry. And I think he's been doing a great job of that. So that's why he's my player of the week for this past week, man.
All right, I'm a little biased with this one, but I'm going to share him anyways, and that is Cade Cunningham. So in the last 6 days, he had 26 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. It was a loss, but he shot 63% from the 3-point line, 50% from the field in that game. Then he came back with 19 points, 2 blocks, 1 steal, 4 assists, 6 rebounds. Again, another loss, but he shot the ball well. He played well. He looks like he's settling in as that leader of the team. Then last night he had 21 points, 7 rebounds, 11 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. shooting numbers weren't really there, but like, again, man, this guy is proving why he was the number 1 overall pick. So he would be my player of the week. It's been a joy for me to watch Cade Cunningham grow into his role as the franchise savior for the Detroit Pistons.
Man, Cade Cunningham has been nice. I mean, me and Jay have been talking about him. I tell Jay all the time, whether it's over text, whether it's in the pod, I think Cade is like a Luka, like one of those generational talents that can do everything on the court. Man, Cade, just watch out for Cade, man. He is legit, man.
Sure.
All right, man. So I think this is a good place for us to go ahead and wrap it up here. Lance, make them dance. Thank you so much for coming on the pod, Lance. Like, honestly, we just love to have you on the pod. Like, you bring great energy, very knowledgeable NBA fan. But, I mean, you got any last words you want to say before we sign off here?
No, man, I really do appreciate you guys having me on, man. Anytime I can do it, I love talking with you guys. This is a fun podcast. You guys bring a lot of different things to talk about. I really got to, just use everything that's up here to talk with you guys, and I love that. And real quick, just for everybody listening too, I just want to say you can follow me on Twitter at Lance Caporossi. You can check out the Everything Pistons podcast, same name on Instagram and same name on Twitter and on Facebook. If you're a Pistons fan, just check us out. And again, man, thank you too for letting me come on the podcast and talk hoops with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely, Lance. Yeah, appreciate you having on. Everything John said, man, we love having you on the show. So definitely be back, man.
Yes, sir, man. And for all, like how Lance said, for all the fans, if you guys want to see any of Lance's work, follow his Twitter, his Instagram, Facebook, follow the Pistons podcast. Everything will be in the description down below. It'll all be linked down there. So make sure you guys check that out, man, and go show Lance some love, man. But for all the fans, thank you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and that's it, man. We out here, y'all. Clutch Talk out.
Peace.